You see, fellas, the way that you train says a lot about you. The way that you train says a lot about how you think, how you move in the world. This is something that's very deep because not many people talk about this. A lot of people, they just pick a training style, but it doesn't go with their lifestyle. It doesn't go with the goals that they have in place. And I'm not talking about physique goals. I'm talking about life goals. I'm talking about business. I'm talking about the way that you communicate with people. See, I'll give you a quick story. When I was training as a bodybuilder and I was doing pure bodybuilder style training, I noticed that my mind state started to shift. Right? My mind state started to become different. And what I noticed was I was thinking slower. I wasn't really in tune with decision making as much, right? My mind almost felt crowded and clouded and nothing was just sharp. I wasn't sharp. I wasn't doing anything with vigor, right? And the reason for this is because the style, when it comes to bodybuilding, if you didn't know, it's very slow and controlled. All right, because the whole goal is you're building different muscle groups, you're resting for a longer period of time. There are a lot of aspects within the training that's going to affect the way that you think. Now, this wasn't congruent with my goal of actually building a business, which is why I shifted my training style completely to a more circuit style training, which was more fast paced. It was less time spent rested, right? And I was cycling through things a lot faster. The intensity was a lot higher. And see, when I shifted into that specific training style, my business started to grow as a result of that. Because in business, it's all about speed. It's all about making decisions fast. It's all about using your brain at the capacity that it needs to in a method of speed to be able to get the results that you want in that business. You can't afford to think slow in business. You have to think fast, right? So that training style did not align with the life goal that I had, which was building a business, which was thinking fast, which was actually executing at speed. So that's why I switched over to circuit-based training, right? And so for you, the reason why this is important is because when you start to train, you have to figure out what kind of training style do I want that will align with the way that I think, will align with how I am at that moment. See, you're going to always have different moments. There are times on Sundays, for example, I'll do a lot more relaxed training, like yoga, maybe, going in and doing lighter movements, right? And having less impact. The reason for that is because Sundays are my rest day or rest day, right? Active rest day. So my brain is not going to be firing left and right because I take that day to be able to reflect. It's a reflective day for me, even in business. It's a reflective day for me. I'm going over systems. I'm understanding what I need to do for the upcoming week. I'm planning. So my training is going to be able to mimic that. That's how you're able to align your training with your thought process. See, for example, in calisthenics, people who do calisthenics, they tend to be deeper in thought, right? They tend to actually go deeper into topics because the whole entire movement of calisthenics is remaining in one state for a long period of time, right? Really pushing time under tension. You stay in that state. You do longer time periods of the movement. It's time based, right? And rep based as well. But the minute that you start to train in a way that doesn't align with how you want to think, you're going to get frustrated in your regular life. And you're going to wonder why you're not thinking the way that you need to think, which is why I'm telling you, you have to figure out what training style works for you. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're somebody who runs a business, you should be training high intensity. You should be doing more athletic based training, martial arts. That's why I got into martial arts, right? Exuding energy, quick, fast paced, right? You want to be able to do all of these things, sprinting, because it's going to prime your brain to think in a way of sprints, right? In the way of fast pace, in the way of quick decision making. You need to be able to train in that way. If you're somebody who's more calm, more stoic, and you're more of a writer, you might want to jump into calisthenics. You might want to jump into long distance running, right? Because that's going to align with your mind state. Many people don't talk about this, and some people may say that this is pseudoscience. But this is my philosophy when it comes to training. Depending on how I want to feel that day, how I want to think that day, I'm going to train in that way. Some days I do a lot more power lifter style workouts, right? Where I'll do the typical compound lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, and I'll try to max out, I'll try to PR on those because I want to exude power that day. I want to be powerful. So I'm going to be able to train that way. This is why hybrid works for me the best. I can train many different ways. I can do bodybuilding for a little bit, then I can switch over to circuit style training, then I can switch over to calisthenics, and I can switch over to maybe even, yoga or something like that in the same day, because my brain moves in different capacities, but it depends on what my focus is for that day as well. So there are some days where I'll focus on the circuit style training because that's going to allow for me to have variety. That will allow for me to actually use my brain to its full capacity. I always feel primed when I'm training circuit style training, which is what I'm doing right now. When I'm training the bodybuilder style training, and it also shows in your physique, by the way, too, because people who do calisthenics tend to have denser muscles. People who do bodybuilding tend to have fluffier muscles, right? And so their bodies tend to be puffed up a lot more versus calisthenics, where your body's dense. You almost look like you're just like a stone wall because you're literally training for that result. It's the same with your mind. When you train, you're training for the result of your mind. If you're doing Olympic lifting and you're doing more explosive style training, your mind is going to be a lot more explosive. You're going to want to take more risks. You're going to be a risk taker. People who do Olympic lifting tend to be risk takers. This is just my observation. No science behind this at all, but just really think about the logic behind this. I always think in terms of logic. When you're going into more bodybuilder style training, you're way more meticulous and you focus on the details a bit more. But in terms of fast decisions, you're not a fast decision type of guy. This is why when you look at like the golden era of bodybuilders, right? When you look at guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you look at all those types of guys, they always wanted to be on the beach. They always wanted to chill out. They had the lifestyle of just chilling out, relaxing. They didn't think too hard. They were just chilling, right? And that's what this training style gave them. It gave them that desire to relax, that desire to almost just coast through life, which there's nothing wrong with that because that was their goal. But when you look at someone who's doing high level business, they need more fast pace. They need more fast twitch. They need the Olympic style lifting. They need the martial arts. They need the circuit style training, right? Calisthenics, somebody who's more stoic, somebody who reads a lot, somebody who's deep in their thoughts, right? You'll see a lot of people who do calisthenics, that's how they are. And it aligns. That's why I'm saying this now, and I've always said this, your training says everything about you. So pick the training style that makes the most sense for you. And there are so many different training styles. I just mentioned the most common ones. But you have to figure out what's going to work for how you want to think throughout the world, how you want to be able to move, how you want to start acting. And yes, how you want your body to look as well, but we're talking about the mind state. We're talking about the execution of the day, executing the goals that you have planned for that day. It's important to be able to train that way because it's going to allow for everything around you to be congruent. You're going to move faster. People who are Olympic lifters, people who train high intensity martial arts, they move quick. They have to move something over, they move quick. They're not slow and they move things around. This is what I was experiencing when I was doing bodybuilding. I was very slow. I thought very slow. I didn't make decisions as fast as I needed to, right? A lot of this has to do with diet as well, which I'll get into on this channel. But the big thing you have to understand is as your training becomes congruent with your lifestyle, with what you're looking to do in your life, you'll start to see everything work around you the way that it should. You'll love the body that you have. You'll love the results that you're getting because of that. That's why some people, they're like, I don't want to look like a bodybuilder, right? There's a lot of reasons why people say that. Yes, maybe aesthetically they don't like how that looks. Maybe they think it's too big. To be honest, you'll never get too big if you're natural. You can never get too big. I've trained as hard as I possibly could in bodybuilding and I didn't look like a freak, right? So you want to be able to create the environment in the gym that you want to be able to have in your regular life or that you have in your regular life. If you have a job that is high stress, high performance, you want to be able to train that way because that's going to help you with that job even better. That's going to help you with the business even better because business is all about high performance. It's all about speed. It's not just about picking the training style that everybody else does, but picking the training style that works the best for your environment outside of the gym and your mind state outside of the gym. Because you have to understand the gym is a place, it's a simulation for real life. That's how I look at the gym, a simulation for what your real life is. All the lessons that you learn in the gym, progressive overload, pushing yourself to your limits, those are going to be translated into real life. If you start thinking of the gym that way, the gym becomes less of a place where you go to de-stress and a place where you actually go to train your mind to perform better in the task that you have at hand for that day. If you have a slower day, if it's better for you to think slower, if it's better for you to be able to analyze things a bit more, you may want to jump into bodybuilding or something like calisthenics potentially, right? Calisthenics more so if you have a day where your thoughts, you have to go deep in your thoughts, but you also have to have depth and you have to be very dense. Calisthenics, perfect for you. So you have to think about training in that fashion. This is going to make training way more interesting for you. You're going to feel like your training actually shows up in your day-to-day life, and you'll appreciate it a lot more. So I hope this video helped you a lot with understanding why your training actually says more about you than you ever thought it could, and pick the right training that makes sense for you. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend who trains, who needs help with figuring out how they should train. And I'm also doing coaching right now, right? Helping people get in the best shape of their lives, helping people maximize their life force, right? That's how I like to say it. Life force is vitality. If you're a man and you want to maximize your life force, maximize your vitality, maybe you're a high performer, maybe you're somebody who wants to build the physique of their dreams, they want to have the help to be able to sustain in their day-to-day, tap in with me, links in the description, and we can talk more about that. So I appreciate you, and I'll catch you on the next video.